Hello, everybody. Glad you could be joining us. Welcome to the Bullpen, your brand new home for everything Brewers and baseball. I am your host, Brant Bashinsky, alongside my co-host for the evening, Clayton Shaw. Clayton, it's glad to be on here.
We're glad to have a platform that we can express our feelings and our desires for this beloved Brewer team that is atop of the NL, leading the NL Central by a few games now with their most recent win against the Phillies coming from last night, most notably from Jacob Misiorowski.
Yeah, Brewers defeated the Phillies by a score of 6-0 last night, and how can you not talk about Miz? He threw a Maddox, which is rare in itself. That's a complete game shutout. 1 hit allowed, faced the minimum, did not walk anybody, and struck out a mind-boggling 15 Philadelphia Phillies last night.
Yeah, it's one of the most impressive performances that I've ever witnessed in my 19 years of life. It's probably top of some of the greatest all-time performances with, oh my gosh, what's his name? Kerry Wood, striking out 20 when he was 20 years old as well. But Miz is just unreal. Doing this at 24 years of age, having as many Ks, almost double what he is pitching innings, is just out of this world.
Yeah, Misiorowski's ERA entering Saturday is at 1.34. That is leading the major leagues. He also leads major leagues in strikeouts entering today and batting average against among starting pitchers. Another highlight from last night. It feels like he's doing this every single time he toes the rubber. He broke the record for the fastest pitch by a starting pitcher at 104.5 miles an hour in the first inning of last night's ball game. He broke his own record. I mean, he does this every single time. He wows the viewers every single time he toes the rubber.
Over 53 pitches were thrown at over 100 miles an hour last night.
And for him to throw under 100 pitches last night, that is absurd.
On top of throwing the last pitch of the game at 103 miles an hour.
In the 9th inning. As a starter, that is unheard of. Across the board for the Brewers last night, statistically, Christian Yelich hitless in 4 at-bats in the leadoff spot, but did draw a walk. Jackson Chourio 1 for 5 with an RBI single off of Andrew Painter. Bryce Terang 1 for 4 and a run scored along with a double that last night. William Contreras 1 for 3, a run scored and an RBI. Jake Bauers 1 for 3, a run scored on his 3-run homer. Andrew Vaughn was hitless in his only at-bat of the night, but did draw 2 walks. He was pinch hit for Sal Frelick later in the game, who collected a hit in his lone at-bat. Garrett Mitchell 1 for 4 with a run last night. David Hamilton 0 for 3 with 2 strikeouts. And then Joey Ortiz had a good night, 2 for 4 with a run and a double. The highlight of last night's game, other than Misiorowski on the mound for the offense, was Jake Bauers hitting a 3-run homer in the 5th inning off of Phillies pitcher Andrew Painter. Entering Saturday, among NL first basemen, Jake Bauers is 2nd in OPS with a 905 OPS on the season. That's top 20 in the entire MLB entering Saturday. He's 4th in batting average with 278. 3rd in home runs with 13, trailing only Bryce Harper and Matt Olson in that category. And then 46 RBI also has him in 3rd, trailing Harper and Olson. It's been a breakout campaign for Bauers, and really good to see him finally starting to swing it.
It really has. And along with Bauers, Garrett Mitchell has also been what the Brewers have wanted him to be for so long now. We know he's battled multiple injuries, but he's coming into his own this season. Just like Bauers, he's batting .247, posts a 753 OPS, and he is top in the NL in average exit velocity, barrel percentage, and the hard hit percentage. His walks are improving. From last year, which is good to see, although he did not have as many plate appearances. He does chase a little bit, but that has been better as he's progressed through the year, seen more at-bats, and just to see this duo of Garrett Mitchell and Jake Bauers coming to their own in this season has been really something special for the Brewers.
It's really nice to see Mitchell finally healthy. He never played a full season. He's been up in the big league since the end of 2022. Battled a shoulder injury in 23, a hamstring injury the year after, a broken finger, and another shoulder injury, I think. And it's really been hard to see for a young gun like Mitchell, who has so much potential and was a top prospect in the Brewers organization since he was drafted. We mentioned some of the good thing about the Brewers offense and some of the guys that are blossoming, but I'm not going to act like the Brewers offense is all sunshine and rainbows. The left side of the infield has been a struggle this year. Joey Ortiz, Luis Rengifo, and David Hamilton are the platoons on the left side of the infield, playing shortstop and third base. Joey Ortiz is batting .209 with 1 homer, 14 RBI, 5 stolen bases, and a .570 OPS. Luis Rengifo is batting .204, 0 home runs, 19 RBI, 3 stolen bases, and a .535 OPS. And then David Hamilton, who has not been awful out of the group. He's been the best option so far, but still not a great hitter to have playing a power position like third base. Is batting .233, 3 home runs, 11 RBI. Does have 14 stolen bases, but that OPS is still below 700 at .646. You know, on that note about David Hamilton, a lot of Brewers fans were skeptical coming into the season after the offseason move, most notably shipping Caleb Durbin to Boston in that exchange that the Brewers got Hamilton. But really, it's been showing that the Brewers have won that trade so far, and the production that the Brewers have gotten from that trade and the lack thereof that Boston has got.
Yeah, it's great to see a Chris Hook masterclass in display with Shane Druin on the bump tonight for the Milwaukee Brewers. He has a 3-1 record for the Brewers, posting a 3.11 ERA. David Hamilton, like Brant says, .233 average and a 646 OPS. Not great, but he's leading in. This is his career stats, which are just improving with the Brewers. And Kyle Harrison, most notably from that trade, is 7-1 with the Brewers with a 2.72 ERA. And this is crazy, 59 innings pitched to 77 strikeouts. He and Jacob Misiorowski are top 10 in front runners for the NL Cy Young, and it's just crazy what the Brewers can do with the pitching staff and the help that they can get with trades that some of us fans may think were not great in those moments.
Yeah, Miz and Harrison are one of the best 1-2 punches in baseball, and really Harrison's ERA is inflated from his last start in Vegas and that launch pad of a ballpark that the Brewers just played in that series loss to the Athletics. Harrison gave up 8 earned runs in 2 1/3 innings. It was not a good start, definitely his worst start as a Brewer, but we're going to put an asterisk next to it since he was playing in Vegas. And speaking of the lack thereof of production that I mentioned about the Red Sox, Caleb Durbin and Andrew Monasterio have not been very productive for Boston. Caleb Durbin, one of the worst OPSs in qualified hitters, and then Anthony Siegler was also shipped to Boston in that trade, and he is in AAA Worcester. On the Phillies side of things last night, Tanner Banks was handed the loss as the opener, gave up 1 run in his lone inning of work. He was relieved by Andrew Painter, the young right-hander. 2021 first-round pick, 13th overall by the Phillies. He pitched 5 innings, gave up 5 hits, 5 earned runs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. And honestly, he didn't even look that bad until the 5th inning. This kid's got a lot of potential, and even as a Brewers fan, we can admit that Andrew Painter's going to be a good pitcher. That 3-run homer from Bowers last night really killed his outing. And I noticed on the broadcast last night, they were talking about he had a little bit cut to his fastball, which really, if you're throwing that into a lefty, you're going to jam him a lot. If you're throwing that away from a righty, you're going to get a lot of end caps. As long as you keep that away from the middle of the plate, and as long as he keeps throwing that on the corners, I think he's going to has a really good future in this league.
While the Brewers have had their success with pitchers this year, it has not come without some shady injuries that have struck the Brewers bullpen. Most notably, Brandon Woodruff and Quinn Priester, marking 2 out of just 10 pitchers who are injured for the Brewers. Brian Fitzpatrick, Jared Koenig, Rob Zastrinski, DL Hall, Logan Henderson, Carlos Rodriguez, Coleman Crowe, and Angel Serpa. All these injuries have put a kind of pressure on the Brewers to make their relievers go these extra innings, like Aaron Ashby normally carrying 2 to 3 inning loads worth of work, just in hopes that some of these guys get back.
Yeah, the Brewers have been decimated by pitching injuries this year, most notably Quinn Priester and Brandon Woodruff, like you mentioned. Angel Serpa is also a big one. He's out for the season, needing Tommy John surgery on his left elbow. He was supposed to be a big part of this Brewers bullpen. He came over in the offseason in a trade that involved Isaac Collins and Nick Mears. Isaac Collins was a beloved outfielder for the Brewers last year, most known for his home run off of Edwin Diaz. Brewers fans loved him. There was a lot of people sad to see him gone, including myself. And then Nick Mears was a key piece of the bullpen last year. Serpa pitched for Team Venezuela in the World Baseball Classic in March, and I think that is what led up to his elbow injury. While Clay mentioned some of the pitching woes the Brewers have gone through on the injury side, a bright spot from earlier this week is Brandon Sproat on Wednesday in Vegas. He pitched 6 innings, 4 hits allowed, 1 earned run, only 1 walk, which is really good for Sproat standards. He has not been good throwing the ball in the strike zone and keeping the ball in the park for that matter. His 1 earned run was a home run, and he only struck out 3, but that was only on 68 pitches. It was easily Sproat's best start of the year, and I think if he hadn't had a track record of walking a lot of guys and giving up home runs, he probably would have stayed in that game, and especially how that ballpark was playing too. I think it was the right move for Pat Murphy to pull him. Hindsight's always 20/20, Chad Patrick had a really bad outing, his worst of the year in that Vegas ballpark. Maybe Sproat could have pitched another 1 or 2 innings and given the Brewers some length and maybe closed the door. I guess we'll never know. But seeing Brandon Sproat pitch like that and have that success is really good as a Brewers fan, and it's what you want to see after trading Freddie Peralta for him and Jett Williams.
Looking in the NL Central, the Brewers have a commanding lead with a record of 42-25. Next up is the St. Louis Cardinals at 38-30, 4.5 games behind the Crew. They're also in the NL playoffs as of now. Following behind the Cardinals are the Chicago Cubs at a record of 36-34, 7.5 back. The Pittsburgh Pirates sitting at 36-35, 8 games behind. And then the Reds, their hot start to the season has simmered down as they are 33-36, 10 games behind. But with Ellie out, he's a star player on that team. Him coming back pretty quickly will be the key to this Red success. And Brant, we've been talking about Jacob Misiorowski, how he's been a breakout player for this Brewers team. I can't stop but mention Jordan Walker, a part of this Cardinals team. It's something special.
Yeah, Jordan Walker's really been breaking out this year. He's batting .300 with 17 home runs. He's an NL MVP candidate as we enter the month of June and beyond. He has as many hits this year in 163 less at-bats as he did last year at 78. It's just unbelievable. And even as a Brewers fan, you have to tip your cap to Jordan Walker. He's having an outstanding year. What player stands out to you among the league? Any player, doesn't have to be the Central. What player's been breaking out to you? What stands out to you? Catches your eye?
Yeah, I'd say a player that stands out to me going to the AL part of things. His name is Davis Martin, a part of the Chicago White Sox. Davis Martin has been a stellar pitcher for this hot White Sox team, who is second in the AL, a part of the playoffs if they were to happen right now. He's boasting a 9-2 record, which leads the league. 2.41 ERA, 1.1 WHIP, and 15.3 pitches per innings, which is also top of the league. So he's very efficient in these pitches. And across some polls going through Instagram, Twitter, everything, he seems to be top 10 in Cy Young through everything. So this consistency is very nice to see through a career that has had some very low lows, but he's finding his light in Chicago, and that Chicago team is very great with Munetaka Murakami leading the way. It's a great team. Miguel Vargas helping out as well at third base. Chase Mydroff at short. The team's finding their way.
Yeah, if you told me on June 13th that the Chicago White Sox would be in first place in the AL Central, I would have told you you're crazy. If you had told me they were above 500, I probably would have told you were crazy. But here we are. The Chicago White Sox are really breaking out. They're finally putting that youth together. And honestly, it's fun to see. It's always fun to see a young team like the Brewers of last year come up and start to win games and start to put it all together. And Davis Martin's been a really big part of that. Looking what's on tap for the Brewers for Saturday, another matchup with the Philadelphia Phillies. Lineups for tonight, starting with the visiting Philadelphia Phillies. Kyle Schwarber leads it off, followed by Trey Turner. Bryce Harper, Alec Boehm cleaning up at the 4-hole. Brandon Marsh in the 5-hole. He's had a really good year so far, a really breakout campaign for Marsh. Edmundo Sosa bats 6, Bryson Stott in the 7-hole. JT Realmuto does the catching, batting 8th, and then Derek Hill batting 9th. For the Brewers, Christian Yelich leads the way at the DH spot. Jackson Chourio, Bryce Terang, William Contreras does the catching, batting cleanup tonight. Jake Bauers off of that 3-run homer last night, bats 5th. Garrett Mitchell in the 6-hole. Sal Frelick gets the start in right field, batting 7th. David Hamilton and Joey Ortiz round out the lineup. Starting pitching matchup, Clay mentioned Shane Drowan's on the bump for the Milwaukee Brewers, and then opposing him is Aaron Nola. Aaron Nola this year is 3-4 with a 5.86 ERA. It's been rough over his 13 starts this year. And Aaron Nola in his last 30 starts is 8-14 with a 5.95 ERA. He's battled some injuries. The once Cy Young finalist pitcher is starting to hit some age, and with that, he's struggling. So let's hope the Brewers can jump on him early, get some base runners, maybe chase him from the game earlier, and dig deeper into that Phillies bullpen. That's going to do it for the pilot episode of this talk show. Glad you could join us. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next episode. Clay, it was a pleasure having you on tonight. Hopefully we'll have you back in the future to talk some more Brewers baseball.